Right, hello and welcome to another history kind of thing for Rome 2 and the Roman formations. First thing I'm going to show you is a century like this. Ta-da! And each of those files that you can see are made up of 8 people, and it is suggested that they're a contubernia, and that each contubernia made up one of the files. A contubernia was basically a group of 8 men who ate, slept, drank, fought, and did whatever together. No, not that. Stop thinking dirty, okay? Come on. They also shared a tent, which is why they were called, like, they were a contubernia in the first place. And they would kind of pitch that tent and sleep in that once the fort was built. A century like this can kind of form very different formations. There was the loose basing formation, which get you into the right flipping depth first. Right, that's kind of what it should look like. There you are. That is their loose formation that they formed. So as you can see, it's kind of cool. So basically, if an enemy went through one of these gaps here, like this, whoop, he just gets smashed in the face by the guy behind, and that's kind of what would happen. If you've ever seen like Roman reenactors do this, it's pretty damn scary. I'll tell you that now. I had like a group of Roman reenactors just in the town centre a fair while ago, and they nearly like shield bashed me in the face. That was kind of entertaining. Right, they also could form a wedge. Cool. Why is the standard bearer at the front? Oh well, whatever. Quite compact, quite small, and this would basically only be really ever used if the Romans decided they were in a bit of a sticky situation, kind of needed to escape, so they'd form a wedge and just drive through until they could escape, or just like if they wanted to capture an enemy leader or something. But it's not exactly a very common formation. I know that Suetonius Paulinus, or however you say his name, at the Battle of Watling Street, which is the most famous battle against Boudicca. Yeah, Boudicca. Flipping heck. Like, getting Boudicca and Boudicca at the same time. Anyway, yeah, he did that, but I'll show you that in a bit. Also, you could form a square formation like that. The Legionaries themselves had a specific kind of square formation, which was called an orbis. Which was a bit more, well, it was a bit smaller than this. It was basically like 5-6 people or something like that. Even as small as 3 people, just like back to back, either protecting a standard or something like that. And when they've been cut off from a main kind of unit, so if the, say if you were just in a formation like a normal century like this, and it broke up, so you only had like these 6 guys here at the back. Alright, I'll cut everyone off the screen. Kind of, you get the idea, those guys. Then it was just them on their own, surrounded by like a shit ton of barbarians. Then they'd form an orbis. Also, of course, they could form... Come. You can do it while you're there. Form shield screen, which will take a while to do because flipping centurions all the way back there. There we are. This was basically, oh, flipping heck, that's awful. Look at that, it's a massive gap. Anyway, they formed this basically, well, I'm not sure if this actually happened as such, but it's shown. Like if you watch Gladiator, when they get charged, sorry Fraps is doing that thing. I think it's just decides after a while that it's just used too much already. There you are. And if I do... Yeah, all nice and formed up. By the way, this is kind of historically accurate, this kind of checkerboard kind of formation that they used, although I'm not sure if they used it as in like a Titus formation as this. It's possible, but for the line rotation to work, it normally was just a straight line, but it could still work like this. It's just not as easy to do.
Brave Romans to a man, as you command.
Just look how awesome this looks. I mean, that's a pretty terrifying sight, isn't it? Anyway, I will now show you the second formation. Right, this is the second formation now. As you can see, it's basically the same, but a little more spaced out. This is like by far my favourite formation. First of all, because you can do this.
By your command.
Yoink. It can go a bit faster. And then yoink. So that would basically like block up the holes if they needed to, or do like a line relief system. So if they're really knackered, these guys could come through and form up in front of them, and so take the brunt. Also, if you wanted to, then these guys could go yoink. There we are. Like that. These guys would form up next to them. Although, it'd be easier if those guys went that way, didn't it? Oh well, I'm doing it now. Seriously. Need to get a drink. Okay. Don't worry, I'll get a drink before I do the next one. Otherwise I might die. Right, there we go. And they just do the same thing. La -di -di -di. Oops. Not done him. Ah, well. You get the idea though. Just one big line. This makes more sense to me as well, because being in like a line 4 deep like gets rid of the holes, and it's a bit wider as well. Also, it's said that the line rotation, where basically the front line would go to the back and another one would take its place and keep going like that, to keep them as fresh as possible for as long as possible. If they had 8 ranks, then that would be about, I think, was it 20 minutes they said? I can't remember now. But something like that. Something like 20 minutes. So at this rate it'd be more like 10 minutes of fighting. And trust me, I've been reenacting and things like that before, and 20 minutes of solid fighting is ridiculously tiring, and 10 minutes of solid fighting is still ridiculously tiring, but just not as bad. Look at the pretty shields! Anyway, oh yeah, okay, next formation. Right, this next one is one I read about in the newest of my books that I've really read, and probably the newest that was published actually. A one called On the Wings of Eagles, that's it, by Christopher Matthews, and it's pretty decent. It's all about Gareth Maris's reforms. And this formation is by far the easiest really, because, well, one, it's just a big solid block, kind of like that, and you don't need to get people out from behind either. It's just, you know, like that. Although the frontage is a bit rubbish. It also makes marching like from a column really easy, because basically you just have, say if you were in a column, right, I'll stick them in a column, 1 second. Why does the fast forward in like Total War games never fast forward at all? Yoink. Alright, get yourself sorted out, okay. So, something like that, I suppose. So that's kind of easy. And once they've got up to there, then they just basically, if you want to form a line, you just go and form yourself a line. It's just simple as it is for that formation. Really is very simple. Right. Right, give me 1 second. I'll form them back into proper centuries. There we go. Into 10 by 8, which makes sense to me. I prefer this one, that's all I'm saying. The spaced out one, that is. And they look better in little squares anyway. Perfect little squares. Looks more Roman. More organised. Oh yeah, I'm going to show you the wedge and the kind of cohortal defence formation-y thing. Kind of like the Orbis, but on a larger scale. I'm going to do a separate video for all these formations actually in battle as well. It's just that they don't tend to work as well in battle, so yeah. Right, there we are. That is them for... That is my favourite one, really. It works the best because these guys are so far back that when you kind of outpace the rest of your guys by pushing forwards, then it doesn't really matter that much because you've got this far back to compensate for it, and these guys stick out a bit further as well. It's just a bit more penetrating. I quite like it. There's also that one.
Yes, Commander. Ready. By your command.
I forget. It's kind of difficult to remember. That doesn't look right. No, that's not right. That's good. It's not right.
Understood. Ready
Is
and
it like
waiting.
that?
Orders understood.
I really can't remember now. No, I think I was right. I was right. It was that.
Ordinem.
But as you can see, that kind of leaves the sentries a bit open and vulnerable. What was the other one? Oh, the other one is just basically just a big, massive line. Like if you form them all into one column of 6 people wide, because that's what they say in some I don't know, in some like primary source of historical knowledge, and it's probably Plutarch or something like that, or Polybius, I don't know, someone like that. Tacitus, probably Tacitus. Tacitus says the most half the time. Or Josephus. Josephus probably the most reliable. Sorry, I'm just spouting historical rubbish at you right now. Awesomeness. If you do this, it looks even better. Bah, oops. They're now a bit far apart from each other, but hey ho. As you can imagine, trying to get into that's probably not easy. The only problem is, in Rome 2, you can't kind of simulate the way they kind of march, because if you did this, they could kind of... Oops, no, that's not right.
Orders.
But they would kind of march sideways. It's really difficult to try and...
Evocati. Quick
Oops,
march.
no.
At the double.
That didn't work. Is that... Nope, that's not going to work.
Command.
Right, a bit like that. But obviously with all the shields facing outwards. So you kind of get the idea. But they could do this like while being attacked, and that's pretty impressive, to be fair. Imagine getting like pelted by like javelins and people hurling themselves at you and trying to stay in this formation. Say you were just like this one guy at the edge. You like to fight, you kind of need some like space. You'd need to stop and face them and kind of parry and thrust and whatever. And it would be ridiculously difficult to keep this up, especially like because the amount of casualties at this point would probably be really excessive. And you just have to like walk away from your dead and dying friends, which is always a nice thought. I think that's it for Legionaries.